So this is Hearts of Wulin. This is our trilogy. We are in the third and final book of the trilogy, which is where the characters can die permadeath, of course, as we know that. We are in session 9 of what will be 12. This is the second session of this particular book. And we're dealing with the Orphans of Yun has come as an important role, that important detail that has arisen. We'll come back to sort of summary of where we're at after we do some character bookkeeping and mechanics. If you're watching this, this is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. You can find lots more actual play videos on my YouTube channel. If you're checking this out, you might look and see about other sessions. Also, if you're curious about what this whole Gauntlet Hangouts thing is, you can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com, which includes our blog. It includes our podcasts like Plus One Forward and Fear of a Black Dragon. These are all amazing things that we have there. We're doing an actual play, little podcast from a previous set of Hearts of Wulin, that Deadly Melody that is just starting, I think, in the feed this week. So if you like listening to very highly edited actual plays, as opposed to me droning on for a lot, then you can check that out. There's even a session 0 where I talk about Hearts of Wulin. So we have our 4 characters here, and we're returning back. I want to check, is anyone like, I want to change this move, or I want to relook at any of these character decisions that I made. I just want to check in and make sure that anybody have any strong feelings. Or is everybody cool with where they're at? Okay. So we'll continue on moving forward. I don't think anybody got a new move last time. Did you?
I did, yes.
Oh, so please, Night Sky Ming, what did you choose?
So I chose Tracing Shadow. When Night Sky Ming interacts with someone to read their web of connections, she rolls, and on a hit she can get their 2 closest confidants and a short statement about those relationships. Alternately, she can learn about a secret entanglement. On a 7 and 9, my target is aware of my workings, and on a miss, they learn my entanglements. So it sounds dangerous.
Yes, it's a super dangerous one, but it's a nice one. That is a concept that I first found in Godbound, actually. So all right. So you've reset on that. I think only a couple of us have conditions. So let me start with you, Shard Saberlon. Let's look at entanglements. Are you happy with both of your entanglements?
I am. I allowed my sister Night Sky Ming's mother, Coral Lantern, to escape justice. Because, that seems more appropriate. And I love Passing Cloud, but their family member, Dustcloak Spider, has sworn revenge against me. I don't think, we didn't see Dustcloak Spider last time yet, did we?
Not last time. So which one of those would you like to highlight?
I will highlight the second. I wouldn't mind seeing rumblings of Coral Lantern, but I think she's a stronger later on plot, and I'd love to see Dustcloak Spider come on.
Okay, all right. Well, I put a picture of him in the images thing. Let me come to Rich. Rich, if you'll, the list of advancements is actually on the other moves tab, just below the start a session thing.
Oh, I see. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I didn't do a checkbox thing because we hadn't run so long before. But let's come to you then. Are you happy with both your entanglements?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which one of those do you wish to highlight?
I think I would like to highlight there is mutual unrequited love between Nine Blossoms and I because of my duty to Bronze Viper.
Absolutely. That seems like a good call. And
if I said the other entanglement, you would have said is a bad call. I mean, come on, Lowell, you're so encouraging. I
I
think
would have
they would
gone.
both
I
be
would have
good
gone.
calls.
Okay, Rich. If you
Oh,
wanna do that.
really? Oh, sorry. Good. I intuited then. Good.
And then Passing Cloud. Are you happy with your entanglements?
I am, yep. So my entanglements are that I love Cheng Wen, but my teacher, Auntie Silver, killed his teacher, Peerless Falcon, who he held dear. And I suspect Shad Saber, Lan of Evil, but Night Sky Ming, who I respect, believes in them. As for which one I'm going to highlight, I think I'll probably go for the first one, because I feel like I kind of had a bit of the second in the previous episode we did. So
okay, I put a picture of Auntie Silver in the images as well. I did not put a picture of Peerless Falcon though.
Uh-oh. Get to it.
Okay. All right, that seems good. And let's come to then Night Sky Ming.
Yes, Night Sky Ming still loves Sedate Rao, but Sedate Rao is engaged to the villainous Whip Hand Shang. Ooh, so unfair. And my master Iron Face Lu hates Passing Cloud for some reason, but they won't tell me why. And I think that that's the one that needs to go, because this sounds like the great introduction of all of the secondary characters that occurs right after the inciting incident. So I'm ready for a bazillion new characters.
Okay. All right. That seems a possible thing. So what we're taking up today, last time we'd seen one scene of Zheng Wen arriving to speak with Night Sky Ming to inform her of Sedate Rao's impending marriage, and she shrugged it off. But Wen wasn't having, wasn't buying into that necessarily. But then, in the midst of their conversations, they were attacked, and they were in fact attacked by some of these Dancing Sisters specialty assassins, who were dispatched with some alacrity. And then at the parallel side, we saw Shard Saber paying a call on Passing Cloud, asking him to join in a search for particular Yun ruins. That proved unsuccessful, but on the way back, they were also attacked by Dancing Sister assassins, and they also dispatched them, though Passing Cloud was initially suspicious of Shard Saber's involvement, potential involvement in this. On the other side, Wen and Ming discovered that they were one of 3 targets, and they followed up on that to find that third target, Nine Blossoms, had left from the city with some of her fellow liquid metal delegates, and had headed out to a temple. And they went and gathered Passing Cloud and Lan, and headed out on the road to try and find Nine Blossoms. So I think we do. This is started kind of late, in the day. So there is a moment where you have to take a break on the road to water the horses, to let them rest. You're impatient for that, but there is that moment where you do have to rest, and so we come in on the 4 of you, around a campfire that's just there for a short time. But what's your pose when we come in, Night Sky? It is dark out. It is your element.
Yeah, I think where the others gather around the fire, she actually faces outward and away from it because it blinds her. So I see her as she's actually kind of walking out around the perimeter of the camp. Now she will speak to them and those things, but she's not inside of it. She's looking around. She's sort of on full guard duty, checking the horses.
So what you're saying is that she is always facing out into the darkness.
Yes.
It draws her.
No.
Well, no, I think that's what we're saying.
Blinds her. How's that?
Passing Cloud, what's your pose? What's your position in this moment here?
Passing Cloud is quite close to the fire, I think. I see he's probably kind of sprawled out a bit in front of it. It's the ground's not the most comfortable, but he's doing his best to find a comfortable position to sort of relax in.
What is your mood? Are you nervous? Are you worried about any of your compatriots? Are you excited? What do you think that is? Excited
more than anything. I think he's been kind of jumping at the bit to sort of get out and explore the world a bit more. Auntie Silver's kept him on a fairly tight leash up until this point.
That makes sense. And what about you, Shard Saber? What's your pose?
So I had sort of a genre question, just because I'm genuinely not like super familiar with the genre. But do we see heroes like eating in these movies? I know we see them drinking, but are there any sort of like particular ways that shows up in the genre?
If you're on the road, you're probably eating rice balls or something of that kind. Usually food is in actual sort of tavern situations that we see that kind of thing, but definitely drinking.
I like some like cold packed rice balls sort of idea.
Okay.
So I think Shard Saber, he has like an empty packet or little wrapper laying on the ground, and another one that he's got in his hands, working his way through, as he's just munching and sort of considering. And I think the sword and the scabbard, it's sitting right next to him. In our movie thus far, it still hasn't been unsheathed, but it's got to be there in shot so that people are just salivating and wondering, right? You're all wondering, right? You're
absolutely. And there is an interesting thing, is that you really have been on the road maybe more than the others. So where everyone else kind of took off, you probably had food with you. You were prepared for a journey. So that is a nice sign of that. What do we see with you?
What you see is Zheng Wen, even in the cold night, not sitting too close to the fire, just enough to light the sheen off his muscles because they're oiled just a little bit. We don't even know how that happened. And he's sharpening the unspoken splinter of the weeping goddess, his sword, even though it's always sharp. Occasionally, when Shard Saber Lan looks away and is eating his rice ball, Zheng Wen will glance over because he has not eaten, but he will not say anything about that, because that would be weak.
Do you think there's any kind of conversation going on?
I don't know. I think the last conversation was probably around throwing spiders and scorpions at people, and that was unsettling.
So it is that kind of quiet anticipation. You're waiting for the horses to have their breather here.
Yeah.
You're watching out to the darkness, Sherry. So let's have a study move.
All right then. Let's see here. Then I guess that I will roll with. Let's see here. How about Earth? And wait, am I looking at my character? That's important. Okay, yes, Earth. And then I do need I got to get the link. Sorry.
Okay, I did drop that in the chat.
You did? You're the bestest. All I got to do is find it.
Right
there
below
it is. Yeah. All right. So here we go. So that gives me an 8.
Okay. So do you want to ask a question? Do you want to declare something here as you kind of, watching the camp here?
I think I will ask a question. Of course,
Okay.
that's the worst answer because then you have to let me read through the questions.
Absolutely.
So I apologize right here.
There are only 2 questions.
Really?
Remember?
Okay. No, I don't.
You're the one who came up with them.
Oh, really? Okay. Let's see here. So I hear horses riding by in the distance. Can I intuit where there might be a essentially, where is there a shortcut that where we're heading? It reminds me that there's another set of roads or something like that, and gives us an option. So
Yeah, the temple that they're describing, the way that you're going, there is another route to go, but it does cut through a little more rougher area, and people stay away from it because of the haunted swamp that you have to pass by. But it would cut a few hours off your travel time if you decide to go that direction.
excellent. Then I return back to the campfire. I don't really look at it. I think I look more at Zeng and I say, there is a shortcut we could take. It would take us near the swamp, but we could gain a good hour and a half.
The swamp? You mean the haunted swamp?
Perhaps there's a ghost or two. It's hardly haunted.
Let's go.
So we'll see you gather yourselves together then, I guess.
Yes. Well, as soon as the horses are rested.
Yes. Well, we assume that now, since the dramatic moment has happened, the horses have had their rest.
The most excellent of horses.
Okay. And one of the things, of course, about horses in this movie, you have horses and then you don't have horses. You don't have to worry about stabling them. You don't have to worry about tying them up. They're just there. So you never have to worry about taking care of them.
Just walk away from them and they're fine.
Exactly. It's like Red Dead Redemption, the first one. Anyway, you will mount up, and you will head up and ride, and we get some of those long Lord of the Rings style shots of you riding across. The camera kind of does that sweep as you travel, and eventually we will take up, and earlier than you expected, at the dawn, you will arrive at the steps of this old temple. You can see that it is at the base of a set of mountains. There's a long set of stairs going up. Stairs go up, and there's kind of a plateau where there are some buildings for guests and so on, and then the stairs continue up to the higher temple, and you will arrive there. I assume you head up the stairs, or are you doing anything before you go up?
Do we see any sign that that our parties have passed, that they've gotten here?
Let's have you make a study roll.
Oh.
You're asking. Oh, yeah.
I would like to offer some support, since that is a very wise thing.
All right. So, Rich, what are you supporting with?
I believe that I will support with my recently, as in moments ago, raised water, because that was the advance that I chose to raise my chi of water, so it's a +1.
So let's have you roll.
and I saw them rotate in their cute little way. So I know that I did roll a 7 + 1, 8.
Okay, so you can definitely create a bond that she can burn.
Great. The bond is that I have your back in this pursuit.
Let's come to you, Night Sky. Let's have you roll. You're muted.
I got a 7.
Okay.
So you can keep the bond and turn it into a permanent bond that I know that you have my back, but we don't need to use it in this time.
So there is evidence here, at the ground level of horses having arrived recently within the last few hours. And that does say to you that, based on what you knew about Nine Blossoms travel, that this would be about the time you're guessing. Does that seem fair?
Okay. Expect they're there, but we don't know about the ones who are following her.
Right.
Right. So we need to find them. All right. And so she turns and says, they are here. Let us find them. Let us make sure they're safe.
And you will head up the steps. Big, broad, beautiful, wide pavilion steps. You can actually walk 4 abreast on them. And you will get to that sort of first landing, and you will see a couple of these temple acolytes. Older gentlemen will come out and will come to greet you. They have the staves with the rings on them and the simple robes. And one of them will turn to greet you and looks at you, Shard Saber.
Greetings. We are travelers. We've been on the road all night. We were hoping perhaps we could take some shelter.
All travelers are welcome here, certainly. Come and we will set rooms for you here. And he will gesture to one of the buildings for you to come and rest. I will say, we can provide water and a simple repast should you wish to stay for a while.
That would be nice. Thank you.
And he will walk you over to one of these buildings, essentially that sort of style of people who come here on a pilgrimage kind of thing, of meditative rooms, perhaps nicely made up a little bit than you would expect, a little bit nicer maybe. What are you doing, Passing Cloud?
Yeah, I think he's kind of following along with the group, maybe lagging a little bit behind as he kind of like inspects the statues and the other sort of decorations around the temple.
And you can see they've got clearly some shrines down here, traveler shrines that are set up down here, maybe more than you would expect at this level. But they will put you to take you to these rooms, and the brother will say, if there is anything that you require, there is a gong, and you can ring that. And should you require anything on your travels, we ask that should you have it to spare, a few coins towards our temple would be appreciated. And he heads out and leaves you to it. You don't see any sign of Nine Blossoms or the liquid metal delegates.
That was extremely suspicious.
There's no way that we got here before she did. They must have been way late on the road.
except that we can see that they made it to at least a foot of the steps.
And let's see if there is a sign of struggle, or perhaps there is some place to hide here. We don't know.
All right.
So, Rich, does that mean you are leading a study move?
I don't know. I think Nice Guy's our study person.
Gonna make her roll again.
No, I will study.
Okay.
There could be the possibility of some hidden area, and perhaps I'm good at that. I will go again to attempt to be aware, and I will roll with water. And that will be a 9, sadly.
Okay. Well, I mean, you could burn a bond and give yourself a 10.
Yeah, because I've got your back, just like you had mine.
I'll do that. I'll burn that. Got your back. So I burned the bond on my sheet then?
Yep,
right?
on your sheet.
Okay. Just make it sure.
Yeah.
I'll make it a 10.
So tell me, you've got two questions or declarations. What would you like to know?
Where is the person that we seek? Is of course the person I want to, the thing I want to know. Where's Nine Blossoms?
So there is that thing when you come into one of these chambers, just briefly, where you catch that scent of her perfume, a particular kind of jasmine that you recall from those moments, not standing close, but just that the scent of her hangs in the room and you remember it. And it doesn't look like there's a struggle. So you do suspect maybe they went up to the upper temple. But you're not seeing any horses or any other evidence of them here. Does that seem like a fair answer?
So I basically have confirmed what we already knew, that she came here.
Well, no, she came here, but that she's gone like to the upper temple. You're here on this plateau. There's another set of steps leading up to the temple. She seems to have gone up there, but any trace of them having been down here is gone.
Okay. Then I'll suggest to the others, I believe they've traveled to the upper temple. We need to go. And on the way there, because he would not dally any further, wow. I don't think this, like, that ask a question about a person's motivation doesn't, like, I don't see how you could get that information here. So
you need to describe the fiction. That's up to you.
What is the scale of the threat that we face here?
These brothers that are here walking around are surprisingly skilled. A couple of them actually might be on your scale, and the others would constitute a group of hench persons.
Okay, cool. Then, yeah, I just continue with we should go.
So I think as Xingwen's been poking around and figuring this out, Shard Saber, I've gone over to, like, there's a sort of cabinet over on the side. I open up a drawer and I pull out, there's like this extra set of monk's robes, just hanging around in case someone spills wine or something. But I hold it up and say, well, if they're up higher and if these monks are dangerous, then you'll need a guide. And I sort of shake it out and hold it up, and it's just about my size. And so I'd like to whatever my move is for all men are brothers, look exactly like one of these monks in order to lead them up into the higher, possibly less public areas of the temple.
Absolutely. And you can change into that, and you will gather yourselves together, and you can head to the stairs. There are a couple of brothers sort of at the foot of those steps, kind of waiting, and
I keep
you will
very
approach.
like head down, sort of, prayers and things.
And they move their staves to block you, brother.
Brothers, I am on a mission. I am leading these to the higher levels.
And you see them arch their eyebrows, and they say, "Then you are not one of our brothers, or you would know that no man may step foot on these stairs."
No, I
And-
should have gone with the wig. And I grab one of their staffs to hold it while I try and kick him in the face.
Okay, so essentially you want to try and deal with mooks here?
Yes.
Okay, so Shard Saber goes straight to combat here. When you fight a group of these guard persons, they are our henchmen. They're collectively below your scale. So what do you want to roll with? What's your style element again?
It is metal.
Yes, and given that you're rolling 3d6, there's almost no chance that you could fail. So
Almost none. It's a 9.
that is a 9. Now, you will defeat them, absolutely. However, that will shatter stone when you do that on a 9. Essentially, you will see Shard Saber goes to grab them, and he makes a huge amount of noise. Like, knocks them, sends them flying, and actually, with one of his strikes, cracks stone at the base of the steps. And you will hear people coming running. Passing Cloud, what's your thought on this?
Passing Cloud is a bit taken aback by this. He wasn't expecting it to kick off quite so spectacularly. He is... he looks shocked as he sees the other monks coming their way. I think he's going to just sort of shout out, "What's going on?" And look confused basically look about as confused as he actually is.
Okay. So kind of step back away. I mean,
Yeah.
plausible deniability for Lon. Night Sky, what about you? You see there are a couple of elder brethren and another group of these monks coming running.
And here's the thing, though, is that he said that no man may go further on these steps. And I go, oh, is this only for women further up? And I'm like, it's sort of, I think, this is going to be a hard one to get past. I think, though, that I will say to Zegwin, I think it's only women further up. And I think I'm going to dart past the fight to go up to take a look at what's going on.
Okay. So you're rushing up the stairs then?
Yes.
Okay. Zheng, what about you?
I think I'm pulling Shard Saber Lin back because we do have Nice Guy Ming. So I'm trying to pull him back from attacking any further. Well, if only women can, then Nine Blossom should be safe. Let us let Nice Guy Ming continue.
That was louder than I expected it was going to be. Sorry.
That's good form.
So you do grab Shard Saber, and these two elders come forward, and they Zhang, their attention is on you. They look like they're ready to fight because some of their brethren are laid out on the ground. The stairs have been, damaged, and are you going to try and stop them, Zhang? You speak to them?
I speak to him. I say, we apologize for the misunderstanding. Your friends should work on their kung fu.
Oh, let us have you roll hearts and minds. What would you roll?
He's trying to be. He's trying to remain under control here. He's trying to keep this under control, so he'll be rolling with metal.
Okay.
And that'll be an 11.
They stop. They see her going up the stairs, and they will hold their position. A couple of the younger acolytes will go over and will help their brothers up from their sort of humiliation on the ground, and they will say, "Please come away from the stairs."
I will start to move away, but of course I'm going to glance over to Passing Cloud and see what his thoughts are on this.
Yeah, I think Passing Cloud will nod and step back away from the stairs as well.
And you will see these acolytes kind of step away, and they move to let you pass, to kind of come to a central area. They expect that you're going to be waiting here, that you don't want to like go in while your friend has gone up. But they kind of stand at like they're leery, and they're definitely tense. Like that could have been very bad for them had you gone up the stairs. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, I love it.
Let's cut to Night Sky Ming. Night Sky Ming, you will rush up the top of these stairs, and you will get to this temple that is set into like kind of against the mountain. It is beautifully appointed. If this is a nunnery, this is the nicest nunnery you've ever seen. There are beautiful silks, the kind that Tian would have stolen, and all kinds of decorations and things around here. And there are a number of young women acolytes here who will approach. And it is very chilly here.
And I speak to him and I say, I need to speak to Nine Blossoms, who I know is recently arrived.
And they will look at each other, and they will kind of look back at the main temple, and they seem to be trying to decide what to do, and whether they should try and bar you or something, and then you will hear that whoosh of the wind, and you will see this figure descend.
All right.
Blue and white robed older woman, and she will land and kind of does that light foot, lands here. She comes kind of out of nowhere, and you see when her shoes touch the ground, you will see ice form around her steps.
Is this like the Frost Queen or the Snow Queen?
This does look like the Frost Queen.
And I'll stop and bow because I would like to survive this.
You are Ming.
And I say, I am, lady.
You are the child of Coral Lantern.
And I kind of look at her and I say, I don't believe Coral Lantern would agree with you.
She says, why have you come here?
My friend Nine Blossoms is in danger. I came only to warn her. Perhaps to help protect her.
And what kind of danger might your friend Nine Blossoms be in if she is in my household?
Say, please forgive me, lady. When I stepped over your threshold, I did not know whose threshold it was. I've made a terrible mistake, and I apologize.
Let's have you roll hearts and minds here.
All right, I will try that. Oh, man.
Got some bonds to burn?
Yeah, well, only one. That's okay. I think I'll go with water.
Okay.
Because it freezes. Oof. Okay. So that's a 10.
She will say, your friend Nine Blossoms, your good friend, came to me to consult on a matter. Though I was surprised that she had found our location. She and her entourage are here. I have been debating how to handle this. I tell you what. You have companions with you?
I do?
Then this is a splendid opportunity for me.
Yes, lady.
I have some students who have been practicing their paltry skills, and I would appreciate if I could impose on you and your companions to perhaps test their mettle.
And
if you are successful, I will certainly bring Nine Blossoms and her entourage forth, and I will answer questions.
And I will bow to her, and I will say, and if we are not successful?
Well, it depends on how pretty your friends are.
And they are pretty.
I have word that they are lovely young men among them, and certainly I do collect those.
I will go to speak with them.
I will send one of mine with you so that the brothers will know that they can allow them up when you've decided to do so. I will prepare the grounds.
Thank you. You are most generous. I bow. I back out. Like, I literally don't turn my back. I back out backwards out of the temple.
Okay.
And then I'll wait for my guest or my escort.
There's some tension there. You know, there's that kind of everyone standing around. There's lots of shots of you looking at each other and looking at the brothers and so on. And then you will see Night Sky Ming come down with what looks like an acolyte, very beautifully dressed, lovely young woman. And she comes down, and all of the brothers, when they see this young woman come down, they all bow their heads.
Cool. There's a moment when Zhang Wen glances over at Shard Saber Lawn and says, "Next time, disguise yourself as one of those."
It was a good plan for the moment, okay? How was I supposed to know?
It was a good plan with the limited information, I agree.
Yes, and then I will arrive with the acolyte and I will say, we are blessed to be at the Temple of the Frost Queen. She will, yes, she would allow us to speak to to Nine Blossoms if you were to agree to enter the temple under her terms, which would be that you would fight a set of her chosen acolytes. And if you won, we could speak to Nine Blossoms. Elsewise, she would wish to keep you there so that you might learn other skills. And she's speaking very politely in front of the acolytes, but she's clearly like her eyes are really wide.
And the acolyte is definitely looking the three of you over with that kind of kind of look.
That sounds reasonable. You don't look like it sounds reasonable, but it does sound reasonable.
When you say reasonable, her eyes get a little wide.
We will not fail, my friend.
We can help to test some of her lesser students.
You are most skilled. If you wish to undergo this, I will do everything that I can to assist you.
Good, yes. Shard Saberland seems incredibly comforted by your words.
All right. She looks at Passing Cloud like she would very much like him to refuse. You go home.
You go home.
Well, it's certainly sounds like an interesting challenge, and one I am eager to test myself against.
Oh no. Well then, I suppose we should go back up and take the challenge then.
And this young woman turns and begins to walk to lead you up the stairs.
I'm studying her.
Okay, let's have you make a roll for me here.
Cool.
As we go by the guards, I'm going to take off the robe and sort of hand it to one of them.
They kind of take it. They're still not looking at that woman. So they kind of have to put it in their hands.
I'm reflecting and being calculating here, so I'll roll with metal. That is just a mere 9, but that's okay. What scale is this acolyte?
This woman is clearly a senior. Clearly sent to watch over this, and she's definitely on your scale.
Okay, this is not going to go great. Awesome.
And you will walk up the stairs, and as happens in these kinds of things, we were just up the stairs in that sort of clear area out in front of the temple, that big, wide courtyard. By the time we come back up, there are banners and seats, and it has been completely set up, and there's a little stand at the top with a throne where you will see that the Frost Queen is seated, and next to her is Nine Blossoms and a couple of the other liquid metal delegates. And Nine Blossoms sees Zhang, and you'll see this pained look appear on her face. And you will see that there are various others of these students, everyone done in whites and blues. And then around, back behind them, you will see all of these lovely young men carrying trays and hauling things around. They are all in somewhat revealing costumes. They're all well muscled and handsome, and they're all carrying things and being very deferring here.
It must be unnaturally warm on the top of this mountain. Everyone seems to be wearing so little.
And that's when the sort of the breeze of frost will probably carry a few snowflakes past you. And
Wynn's reaction is, "Oh, short saber."
And you'll see the Frost Queen goes, "Oh, yes. Most excellent. Night Sky Ming, you have most auspicious taste."
I'm glad to hear that, lady.
And the acolyte that brought you up will move over by the stand, and she will say, "My 4 cardinal daughters, Eastern daughter, Western daughter, Northern daughter, and Southern daughter, will stand against you for." And you will see 4 of them step forward, and you can see that one of them kind of has a spear that she sets there and kind of readies. You see another one has what looks like a whip kind of rope, but you can see it's pure white. There's another one who has almost looks like some sort of chain mesh net. And the last one, you don't see any weapons. And she will say, "We will have the 4 of you fight my daughters. If you are successful in this duel, then I will certainly grant you what you wish. What is your name, young man?" And she looks at you, Passing Cloud.
"My name is Passing Cloud, my lady." And he'll give a bow.
"I do not know you."
"I am as yet somewhat untested, my lady. And I look forward to proving myself here."
"Well, then, which of my daughters are you going to face?"
He's going to indicate the one armed with the spear.
"Ah, my Eastern daughter. Excellent. And the champion of the tournament last year, Zheng Wen."
He inclines his head. "Thank you. You do me honor in remembering this."
"Which of my daughters do you wish to face?"
"I would be honored to face any of them, but given the choice," he inclines his head towards the girl with the net.
"Okay. Then you will face Northern daughter. And Jade Saber Lan."
Jade Saber no longer, and my weapon is not appropriate for a test. So now we'll indicate the one without a weapon.
She'll say, "Ah, so you've lost the Jade Saber. That would explain the other one."
The Jade Saber has passed on from this world.
"That is not what I have heard. But yes, you will fight Southern daughter. Which leaves Western daughter for you, Night Sky Ming." And they will step forward. And I think let's resolve these in that order, so we can give everybody a little featurette scene here. What I'd like to do is I'd like to steal a bit from Worldwide Wrestling. Okay, in that I want you to describe me how the fight opens, and then I'll describe the reaction, and then we'll go to the roll, and I'll have you describe the end. How does that sound? Passing cloud. This woman steps forward into the training grounds. She does that, the whip around of the spear, takes the stances, takes the position, and then readies herself point down to face you.
Yeah, so Passing Cloud is going to his display is actually going to be a lot more simple, but he kind of again goes through a few quick moves and then readies himself into a sort of very light, fluid stance, so sort of light on his feet, currently unarmed, and yeah, he will bow to the woman.
And you will hear the begin. How do you start the fight? What does the first exchange look like?
So he moves towards her, and I think they start moving towards each other, and he as she sort of lunges in with the spear, he darts around to the side, lays in a couple of quick blows before backing off again, essentially taking advantage of the wider arc that she has to use with the spear to try and slip past her guard and attack her from different angles. None of the strikes he does are particularly hard, but he's very precise and very quick with his strikes.
In fact, sharp strikes, she tries to move, and she will realize the kind of the reach and the precision that you have, and you will see what she does then is she will plant the spear and kind of launches herself up into the air and then comes down with that. And when she lands, she then spins on the spear and does that kind of pole spin kick, sends you flying back, and then sort of immediately jumps back up, leaps, and comes back down and strikes at the ground next to you as you roll away. Now, this woman is your scale. So let's have you roll.
Certainly. So that's a 7 on the dice. I don't think there's...
What's your style element?
So that's a 9. So I think... bear with me 1 second. So we're just flicking between the...
Do you want to burn a bond and win awesomely?
I'm just trying to decide if I want to. No, I think for the moment I'm just going to take the kind of near victory sort of thing and not show off too much at the minute.
So once again, you kind of struggle a little bit, just like you did in front of Shard Saber. They just don't know how good you are. You aren't able. But so tell me what it is. How is it that you're able to defeat her with a little bit of a struggle?
Yeah, so I think after she comes down with the spear again, it sort of knocks him a bit off balance. He gets in another quick couple of strikes, has to sort of back off. I think at this point she kind of goes for a long sort of, spear lunge towards him, at which point he whips a chain out of his sleeve, tangles the spear up in it and rips it from her hand, sort of thing, and then comes in with a strike as sort of he moves the spear away. But yeah, it's obvious that it's he kind of had to resort to that to win.
And she's knocked down, and there is that moment where she starts to get up, and you'll hear this kind of crack of ice from up above that clearly signals to her, and she will stop, she will stand, she will bow to you, and she will bow to the
I'll,
Frost
I'll,
Queen.
I'll bow in return.
And she gives you an assessing eye, like now she's really kind of seeing you, and she will definitely Eastern Daughter will move away. Zheng Wen. This woman steps forward. She's got that sort of rope whip there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, this is the one with you have the one with the net. Sorry.
Yes, the video I was about to ask.
So she draws that out through her hands. It's clearly strong, but very thin and light. You can see there are weights in the ends of it. She kind of moves it back and forth, passing it like water through her hands as she comes up to you. And then she comes in, and she is coming at you. So how does this start for you?
As soon as she comes into stance, Zheng Wen had been standing with his hand over the sword, and he draws up and points the sword down, kind of comes over his head, and he draws himself up like a coiled snake. And when she launches herself forward, he does like a tornado movement, and the sword flashes like a cobra attacking over and over again. And his attempt is that he's going to, this is just maybe, we'll see if this is considered foul play, but he's going to slice that net into ribbons.
Oh yeah. And you go to do that, and she is, spinning that around to parry it, and it is surprisingly solid. Like
nice.
You bring that up with those hits, and she kind of turns that back. And then there's that moment where she kind of gets under, and she does that thing where she throws it forward at you, and it expands out, and it kind of wraps around your sword arm, okay, kind of envelops that, and then she pulls and she throws you across the grounds. The net comes out again, and you see her kind of tighten it up, so it actually becomes kind of like a striking weapon, and she leaps over with the weights at the end, and she kind of brings that down to try and strike at you. What happens then?
Oh, she comes down, and there's a couple of quick shots of like him looking up, and there's a bit of just little trickle of blood from where he had been thrown to the ground, and she's coming down, and he rolls out of the way as quickly as he can. And the fight is much more intense than he had anticipated.
Then let's have you roll.
Okay. He is definitely using the Sun and Moon Serpent Sword, which means he will be rolling with fire. And I don't think Heaven Sword and Dragon Saber, that's for impressing. And that doesn't have to do. Oh, am I still? My wood is still marked. We'll leave that.
Yep.
Let me see.
So you're rolling with fire.
Yep, I'm rolling with fire. I'm just double checking my moves really quickly here. Okay, none of them seem to apply. So I'll roll with fire. That would be 9 on the dice plus 2 from fire for an 11.
She comes in, she strikes that, kind of shatters, splinters the stone with the net, and then it kind of it's back into its loose form. How do you beat her?
Once that attack has been defeated, he quickly makes work of he's found particular super strong bonds within the net, and where it's lined with metal, and it's only as strong as the weakest link. So he snips a couple of the edges, and they become frayed, and then all of a sudden everything in the net starts to fall apart. She can no longer form it into weapons. The ting 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 that we heard before when she blocked it, and now it's more of like the sound of metal cutting rope. And we see little pieces of net little rope pieces kind of fly and fray around.
Spinning it around, and you're cutting it even as she's spinning it.
And then he just steps back, and he holds the sword up, and he waits.
And there'll be that bit where when you pause, like all of the stuff kind of falls out of the air and hits the ground and bounces across it, and she kind of looks stunned, and she bows. She doesn't even get aggressive. She bows.
He bows in return.
She will step back to the lineup, and then it is your turn, Shard Saber.
So Lan walks towards her and stops about 20 feet away, and very carefully he pulls off the scabbard and the saber there, and he sort of puts it point down on the ground, sort of holding it like a cane in front of him, until he walks forward towards her and just sort of absent-mindedly leaves it behind, and it stays perfectly balanced on its point, just standing there on the ground. But he walks forward and bows towards. This is southern.
This is the north. Yeah, this is the southern.
Yep, southern, no weapon.
He walks forward and bows to Southern Daughter. And he's got sort of a comfortable, this will be a fun demonstration in front of everybody look. And I think she's got a very serious, I'm going to kill this motherfucker sort of look. And so he comes in and they start sparring sort of slowly back and forth. But it quickly ends up in a sort of sticky hand situation where they're always sort of in contact, neither one quite getting past the other's guard. And it starts to speed up and go faster and faster as they spin around in constant twirling, behind and in front of each other, their hands just constantly coming back into contact as they're moving faster and faster. And I think as they go through this, Lan, his expression becomes more and more serious and oh, this is more than I expected, as I think her expression actually becomes looser and more enjoying things.
And she, there is that kind of break from that where you take that, when we get that pose of the two of you, and she says, you should have brought your weapon. And you see her do this with her hands, and you will see these nails come out. You will see this sort of razor edge on that. You will see hidden weapons blades pop out of the shoes, and she leaps at you again. And suddenly you are on the defensive because every angle of her, every inch is a sharp blade cutting, coming at you like this, just this wave of that. And, at one point she does that high kick where she brings that sort of razor toed, leg around, and you have to, slow-mo dodge out of the way as it cuts past you. And she forces you back, and she's kind of pushing you towards your sword, like she wants you to go for the sword there. And she's trying to make a point as she comes in, little pinpricks, clothing cut as she comes in here. And how do you defend yourself from that?
I think as I'm going back, it's it's the same sort of motions. I'm constantly trying to stop her arms from getting too much momentum. But I think before, where I'd had the sleeves of my robe and everything wrapped around and done up tight, they start to come undone so that they're sort of flowing, and they're just tearing into these tatters and shreds as I'm just getting out of the way and getting fabric in the way of her claws and stuff.
Oh, and there's that strategic thing where your midsection, your shirt gets cut open, expose your chest, that little line of blood, and you'll see a lot of the acolytes kind of lean forward excitedly when they see that.
It's the claws, so it's 4 little parallel lines there of just a little bit of blood trickling down and running through abs and stuff.
Let's have you roll.
Yeah, I think so. So I think as it gets intense and as he gets cut across the chest, he will give in and give her what she wants, as he leans back and just pulls the shard saber out of the scabbard, which stays like perfectly standing on the ground, and it glistens and sort of gleams in the light. And I think as we see it for the first time, the light effects sort of start up, and we see a close up on it, and like on the leading edge of it in this clear crystal, there's actually this discoloration, like this reddish brown sort of streaks that run from the leading edge of it that almost look like blood. But coming up from the scabbard and running through the center of it, there's this like unfurling, almost plant-like line of green crystal running through the center of it. That's sort of like something blossoming up through the middle. And so, yeah, he'll bring it in.
Because you could still fail.
Oh, horribly.
Oh, but not today.
Not today. That's a 9.
Do you want to burn that bond to do this decisively? I mean, you just drew your weapon out.
I do. I mean, it would be a shame if this wasn't entirely dramatic. So I think I'm gonna burn my bond with the Orphans of Yun as I bring out the like Jade Saber and the Storm Cloud techniques. I reaffirm to all of these many watchers that there is power and wealth and desire to be had in the secrets of the Yun.
And so what happens? Tell me what we see on screen.
Okay. So I pull it out, and we go into a couple of like the same spinning and slashing maneuvers that we have been doing, but now it's this crystal ringing against these little metal points as she's like carefully maneuvering her claws and bits to catch it each time, until Lan goes through like a double spin and comes down with this huge overhanded blow that she blocks with her claws, but this like vibration runs through all of the little bits and down all of her points as each of these little metal spikes shatters, and the shockwave goes down into the ground underneath her and actually cracks the stone underneath her into the clan symbol of the Yun, this giant like 10-foot across sigil broken into the ground.
And you know, she falls, and the Frost Queen says, the powers of the Yun were not exaggerated.
I have done as you asked.
This woman stands up, kind of shaken, but she does bow to you and moves back into position.
I'll bow back to her and like shunk the saber down into the scabbard.
And she looks at, you see Frost Queen look at the Western daughter with a look that says, you had better perform here. And this is, of course, the woman that escorted you down. She's been watching you throughout, and she will step forward with that whip rope, and she will move to face you, Night Sky Ming.
All right. And I think what she faces is a scholar, right? And so that's the thing is that I start and I don't take out my sword, I take out my brush. And essentially, when she sort of comes towards me, I bow to her, but I also run the brush against the floor so that it's filled with ice crystals. And essentially what she does is she circles her. She waits for the blow, and where the blow is, she takes a strike with, like where the whip actually hits. She dodges because she's very good at that, but she marks where the end of the whip hit, and then where the sort of the brunt, the first part of it where it started to unfurl started. It's sort of a very like she's plotting the whip. And she goes around, and it's kind of slow. She's just sort of infuriating because she manages to dodge out of it each time. And what she's doing is she's watching what she reacts to, and just trying to get under her skin.
And she will circle on that, angry, but then she will step back, and you will see her spin the rope whip around like a circle there, and she spins that, and it kind of gets wider and wider, and when it hits the ground, it actually creates sparks there, and then she pushes forward, and it's like she's caught all of the air there in that, and it smashes against you, just this wall of air as she follows up with, kind of comes through the circle as it breaks, and strikes at you and drives you back with that. You kind of puts you off balance. And how do you right yourself from that?
Essentially, I think that she's fallen down, and she sort of starts to pick herself up, and the thing that she does is she draws her brush again, and she just plots it and goes on like this is just part of her plan. So it is 99% psychological warfare here.
Okay. Then let's have you roll.
Okay. Oh, everyone else rolled so well. I am filled with
Zengwen is super stressed out about this. This is not good. Any moment where it comes back to him, he's just intensely watching this and muttering, like, just use your weapon. Just fight.
Okay, so I got a 6. I add 2 to that, and that gives me 8. And so I am going to get that sort of mixed result. Yes? What are my options?
What do you want to do?
Well, I think that I will win. But it's not that it's my skill, but that I just have shaken her, if that makes any sense. So it's maybe a little humiliating for her, but she easily could have killed me. And it's very clear from that sort of thing. But by the end of it, she just doesn't anymore.
And I think actually what's going to happen here is you're going to mark your wounded box.
All right.
Because there is that moment where you've clearly won, and you're like, kind of do that step back, and she oversteps her bounds and strikes with the whip, when she clearly had lost, when she shouldn't, and we'll cut you with that. And you will see this kind of blaze of white and snow as the Frost Queen comes down, probably at the same moment that Zeng steps up, I'm assuming. And the Frost Queen puts her hand on this woman's shoulder and kind of looks across at you, Zeng, to make sure you're not going to strike the woman.
No.
And as she's holding her shoulder, you see this woman kind of gasp out, and you can see the frost, the cold, the chill go through her, and kind of falls to her knees.
And I think when that happens, I actually will rush to her and say no, and I'm going to wrap my arms around her, and essentially I go, no, it's just as if I struck her with a sword. Don't misunderstand. And she puts her hands on her, on her thing, and say, no, don't hurt her.
Frost Queen steps back. Well, you have your victory. And I am nothing if I am not a woman of my word. And she will gesture to Nine Blossoms, and she will say to the acolytes, clear the field and bring food for our guests. I am sure that they have questions for me. And she turns to the 4 of you then, and you kind of holding her acolyte, and the Frost Queen does bow that sort of slight bow of a superior bowing to a you know a well done job from their lessers, but still she gives you that nod. And I think we're going to take our 5-minute break here, and then we will come back at the dinner scene.
Did you change your video settings? You look much clearer.
I have an HD camera. I've always had an HD camera, and on my thing, I look good. Okay, on my thing, I look good, and I've gone back to watch my old sessions before, but I don't actually watch them. I watch the little things down below, or I listen to them. So I hadn't realized how bad my camera settings were. I thought I was crystal clear. But then, like a couple weeks ago, I was like, "Wow, that's really I look really fuzzy. Wonder why that is." And then I went back to watch a few more, and I was like, "Oh, I've always been fuzzy. That's great." So it took watching some videos on how to set the settings and things like that. So I'm very happy with where they are now. So
well, good.
Yeah. Rich, I just got my copy of.
Oh goodness, that looks nice.
Yeah. I feel bad that they've gotten in kind of a predicament with the company, but those 7C books are just lovely.
They are. It is a real shame that people like that mid-tier, which is just not doing great. Evil Hat, John Wick's just real bummer.
Yeah, one of the things is these are both companies that took a risk on spreading out to board games and card games, and I think that's a difficult market.
Yeah, I don't know. It's stuff like that when people are like the tabletop RPG industry. I'm like, no, so much of an industry if it can't support the likes of Evil Hat and John Wick Presents and their amazing products. So
yeah, I don't know. I think that the attempt to branch out is probably at least one of the reasons.
Yeah, I'm perfectly honest. Like I lost a lot of interest in Evil Hat when they branched out. That's not what I went to Evil Hat for.
Yeah.
So.
And I've bought some of those games, and like Dresden Files co-op is really fun.
That actually has made a few top 10 lists for games.
It's really good.
Really good.
It's great.
It's a surprisingly solid game for that sort of thing. Yeah.
But the other things like their Zeppelin game and the one that's based on Don't Rest Your Head. That I backed that Kickstarter and I have it, and I like deck building games a lot, but it was not that much fun. So we take up with the classic camera moving around the festival, the feast that is put on, with the four of you in honored positions. Nine Blossoms is there with you. You will see that the men seem to be the servants, but you can also see that the four daughters who fought you are also clearly kind of having to host and act as servants here. Not exactly a humiliation, but more of maybe a demonstration of honor. And it is one of the things is when you're the Frost Queen, she's scary. Even here in this, gentle place of feasting and selling, her makeup is done that sort of pale, and the eyebrows and the eyeshadow are all done to accentuate that. She very much looks like sort of is it Brigitte Lynn from Bride with White Hair, which she's beautiful, but she's kind of terrifying at the same time. And she will say, "Your friend, Nine Blossoms, came to me because she had discovered where our temple lay, and she came to ask for assistance against some of my former students. Coral Lantern and some of the others. But I'm sure you have some questions for me. I am well versed in the politics and the secrets behind the scenes, and since all of you have demonstrated your worth to me, I will grant you some information. Nice guy Ming, what do you wish to know? Muted.
Oh, thank you, lady. Why does Coral Lantern hate the Yun clan so much?
You know that the Yun clan was yin and yang, was good and evil. There were talents that were among them that were beyond others at the time and terrified the other factions, the other houses, but also made them jealous. But Coral Lantern, her beloved was struck down by the Yun clan, by that darker side of it, one of the bearers of the two jade blades.
You spoke earlier of the Jade Sabers if you knew something about it. What is that?
I know what it is. I know that it was forged and that one half of it passed into the hands of those bearers of the Yun who would practice more moderate talents, and the one half passed into the hands of those who would practice the darker arts.
Saying there's another one floating around out there? One tied to darkness?
Yes, your blade has a brother.
I thought this world was clear of that.
What about you, Jiang Wen? What secrets can I tell you?
How long will Nine Blossoms be safe here?
If she wishes to stay with us, I will protect her. But I expect that she wishes to return back to the city along with you to find some way to undermine Coral Lantern's growing influence.
What is the weakness for the Coral Lanterns that we could exploit?
You see, here's the thing. Coral Lantern has been taught in my style. She was my greatest student, and to tell you her weakness would be to tell you mine.
I would like to study her.
Okay, let's have you roll.
What's studying going on this time? Darn it, nice guy Ming, you're wearing off on me. I think I'm trying to be creative here, so I'm going to roll with fire. Oof, I rolled a 6, but I have a 2 in fire, so that's a...
You get one question.
what is the weakness of the two?
I tell you what, I will give you a +1 bonus. I should say +2 because you've seen her now. +2 bonus for when you go to do the specialty move of new technique. Essentially, you're watching her. We see the camera pan in. We see when she does the little tricks with the ice and stuff. We can see you watching each gesture, each moment. You know that each of the students that you fought knew a little bit of her style. And maybe the 4 of those things put together gives you a sense, and you begin forming an idea. We don't see it yet, but we know when we go to the new technique, when we do that move, we'll see you figure out a way to do that. Does that seem fair?
Very fair. I like it a lot.
And she'll turn, "Passing cloud. You are young and unknown to me, which, given how much I know, strikes me as strange. What can I tell you?"
You may not have heard yet much of me, but perhaps you have heard of my brother.
Who is your brother?
Dust-cloaked spider.
And she will say, "Oh, that is interesting."
Do you know who saved him, who trained him in the arts?
I do. Do you wish me to tell you this?
Yes, please, if you would.
He is the final student of the Stormcloud Assassin. The late Stormcloud Assassin, who I believe, and he'll turn, you struck down Jade Saberlawn.
Passing cloud, who is this dust-cloaked spider to you?
My brother in blood, though I have met him but once.
I want a little inner conflict here.
I think that's fair. Oh, let's see how much I've grown. Not much. But 11 minus 1 is still 10.
You keep yourself together when you hear this news.
So there is one more branch of that ill-fated vine to deal with. Fine. Perhaps we can wrap all of this up together. Take care of the dark lineage of the Yoon all at once.
Frost Queen says, "Oh, that sounds to me like you're going to kill his brother."
What? No,
Perhaps I was mistaken then. When it came out, when the words came out, I was sort of savoring the ill intent behind them.
Not everyone's heart is as cold as yours. I've made mistakes in my past, but they're are new ways to be had in the future.
There is much to be gained from a frozen heart.
Landon's going to stop talking because he almost got himself into a lot of trouble right there.
And she will say, you will stay here this evening, and I will see to your travel back to the city tomorrow. And she dismisses you. There are servants that come to show you to your rooms here. I want to give you each a scene, but I have one I definitely want to frame here. And then if there's anything you want to do, we can go around. And that's Zheng. It's Nine Blossoms coming to speak with you. She'll say, Zheng, I am glad that you came, but you did not have to do this.
Of course I had to do this. Of course I would choose to do this.
You must
Bronze Viper would have it no other way.
I think Bronze Viper would have it other ways, but that is how it is. I thought to discover something to help against this villain who has arisen. My own skills were broken in my fight against her, but I hope to find something, some skill, some talent, something, but the Frost Queen has spoken in riddles and given me nothing. And I've had to blemish myself by dealing with such a villain.
I do not see a blemish upon you.
And she kind of stands there. And here's the thing. You really can't act on it. And yet here is a woman who wants to be perhaps comforted. And yet there's that gulf between you.
Inner conflict, you think?
I think so.
Yeah, I agree. It feels inner conflict-ish. I think he's fighting his passion here, so I'll be rolling with that. I got an 11.
Oh. And what is it that you want to do? You keep yourself in check a little?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Or
of course, he would like to close the distance between them and like, hold her.
And she goes to speak, to say something, but then she rests her head on your shoulder. It cannot be this way when we go back.
Of course it can. I wish it were otherwise.
And I'm going to cut there. By the way, all of you showed mercy in your fights, so all of you will get an XP, okay?
We could have killed all our daughters. That would have been a good idea.
Night Sky Ming. We'll have a once around now. If there's any scene that you want here before we send you back to the city.
I think that Night Sky Ming has the thing of that she's wounded and she's done her best to hide as how badly she's wounded. And so the scene really is her trying to take care of that, like going to a place where no one can see and her bandaging herself.
And I think in the spirit of dramatic, closure, that as you're doing that, where is the wound? What is the ache that we see you reveal?
I actually think that it's, well, of course we're all beautiful, right?
Okay.
So
Yes.
so of course it's just from yeah, so of course it's her across her ribs and her midriff there, and
Right.
so she has to carefully undo her jacket and then her shirt and then untie it and pull it aside, and there is um, a welt, and of course the thing is that it was frozen, so it's sort of that kind of um,
Frostburn kind of a look.
burn, yeah, turning black, and of course bruising, and the cut is jagged.
And I think as you do that, you'll be kind of, startled as the door comes open, and you will see Western Daughter comes in. She has a set of ointments, and she will come over and set those down, and kind of, in that way of, you can't take care of that, let me take care of that kind of way, will go to salve on that.
All right. And when she does that, Night Sky Ming apologizes to her, whispers in her ear, "I'm so sorry. I did not end that well."
And you will see her nod. She looks disappointed, but she does salve that, and puts the bandage on, and we kind of pull back, and we on screen can see that she has fallen in love with you. We can tell that. We can see that she does that look at you like she wants to say something more, but she kind of puts the lids on. Is there anything else that you need?
You have been most kind. I must go to my prayers.
And there's a hesitation there, and then she will lift up the tray, and she will depart. And what about Shard Saber? You have some moments to yourself, moments of reflection.
I think you would go to find Passing Cloud.
Passing Cloud, does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that's fine by me.
Where does he find you, Passing Cloud?
I think probably that's a good question. I think he's maybe just having a walk around sort of the temple grounds, the sort of in the gardens.
And again, walking around beautiful gardens that are blooming and so on, and yet you can see your breath as you walk around here.
And he'll come walking up behind you, sort of calling out, Cloud, I want to talk to you a moment, if I could.
Of course. He'll sort of stop for a moment to allow you to catch up.
That was your fight was very impressive.
Thank you. I feel I should have performed better, but I won, and that's what counts, I suppose.
No one was injured. That's what counts.
Nice.
He says, you know that I I wasn't implying I didn't know he was your brother, and I would, when I said stop, I meant stop. There are cycles of death and violence from generations past, but surely if we find this spider, if we explain the dangers of the path that he's walking, we could help him.
I hope so. He cannot help the way he has been raised any less than I can change how I was.
Exactly. I knew the Stormcloud assassin only a short time, but he was very persuasive. He was entirely convincing. And if he was the person shaping the truth of your world, I can see where that would confuse someone.
Now, I'm going to pause here for just a second, if I may.
Uh-oh.
Because there's some things going on here, Passing Cloud. Because you do suspect Shardsaber Lan of evil. And the information that you got was from a villain. So do you think you're a little conflicted here?
Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
Then let's have you roll inner conflict.
But I'm being so reasonable.
That's true.
What are you rolling with? You can roll with anything but your style element.
I was going to say, I think, unfortunately, because Shardsaber Lan is being very logical, and so I think that's probably going to be metal, which... So I rolled a 10, so that's a 9 in total.
So you can kind of retreat away, distance yourself, or you can mark metal.
Yeah, just...
It's a tough call.
It is. Thank you for this, Lan. I would like to think we have grown enough to trust each other over a matter like this. But it is getting late, and I suppose I ought to get some rest before our journey tomorrow. And he'll sort of bow and say, I bid you good night, and he's going to sort of start walking back towards the temple.
I think there's that awkward thing where like Lan is moving forward to like embrace you, or at least like clasp you on the arm or something, and you're just turned and gone, and he's left sort of
Painful. So painful. So let me ask you then, Passing Cloud, since Shardsaber called that scene, I wanted to check if there was a scene you wanted to call.
Yes, there was actually. In fact, there was a move I intended to use in the previous scene. If it's okay to just... because I picked up with my fourth starting one, I picked up the Smiling Proud Wanderer, which essentially lets me to ask one study question just as part of a scene.
Absolutely.
All I wanted to establish with that was I wanted to get a gauge of Nine Blossoms' feelings for Zheng Wen over dinner, if that's all right.
Yeah, I think you would have seen it. You had no sense of it before, but you see it. You see the glances. You see the way they kind of, maybe both move to take something out of, one of the bowls with their chopsticks, and then there's that kind of pause, and they kind of draw back as if not to show anything. They're both stoic. What's the gesture that you think really sells it, that tells you that she is in love but cannot say it?
I think it's the way that she looks at him when he isn't looking at her.
There's moments when he's looking away at the other lovely woman, and she's kind of looking over, and yeah.
And so I think for my scene, I think as I'm returning to sort of the temple and to my the sort of the guest quarters, I think I want to inadvertently, obviously, bump into her.
She will say, you are a compatriot of Zhang Wen.
Yes, he was most insistent that we come here to ensure your safety. We were obviously not expecting.
He's a worthy and honored member of the Liquid Metal Delegates.
I am glad you hold him in such high regard. He does indeed seem a fine and upstanding man, and I think it is sweet that he has such concern for your safety.
He has concerns for all of his fellow brethren amongst the clan.
Of course.
Tell me, I saw your style today. Who was your master?
My master was Auntie Silva.
She hides a gasp there as best she can.
You have heard of her, I see.
Does and she hesitates, like she's clearly like she wants to say more, but she doesn't.
Well, I am glad there was no true need for us to come to your rescue in this circumstance. And hopefully in future, should you be under any threat, you will be able to take care of yourself.
Yes. She just kind of look around like now she's a little nervous kind of thing. Well, it is late, and I should return to my rooms to rest before our travel tomorrow.
Indeed, my thoughts exactly. I bid you a good night's sleep, my lady.
And we see you move away, and we see Nine Blossoms kind of stand there, and we probably get that flashback footage that we've seen before of Auntie Silver striking down Peerless Falcon. And we kind of pull back, and we can see Nine Blossoms witnessing it.
Another thing, because we sort of snap back in, I think you see that passing cloud just sort of around the corner, just kind of glancing back towards Nine Blossom, just eyes narrowing ever so slightly.
Nice. And so we will cut forward. The Frost Queen gifts you all with essentially beautiful traveling cloaks, in that kind of white and silver, just as a gift of hospitality for you having come. And your horses are all made ready. And she will say, I hope to see all of you again. And know for all of you that all of you are welcome to return here.
Your hospitality has been most impressive.
Thank you very much. It has been an honor to see this part of the temple.
And her acolytes, the four daughters are there, and they all bow. Though you see, of course, the Western daughter kind of looking up more from that bow. And we will cut away with the four heroes descending the stairs along with the others. And there's a montage, and we see you traveling back to the city. So you return back. Maybe we want to do another once around when you get back to the city to see what you're doing. Does that seem like a good idea? Should we follow that same order? Then when you return back to the city, Zhang, do you go back to the liquid metal delegates to speak? Do you go speak to Bronze Viper? Do we see another scene of you with Nine Blossoms? Do you go call on Sedate Rao?
I think he would go to speak to Bronze Viper. He needs to make sure that he's aware that Nine Blossoms has returned. That would be his primary focus.
All right. So you will return back to speak with Bronze Viper, and we've got a picture of Bronze Viper on the Images tab. You will appreciate that.
I do indeed.
We find him practicing in the courtyard. He is a master of the liquid metal delegates. He practices essentially the liquid metal style, the style when we see him fighting. His movement, his blade flows almost like mercury through the air. When he strikes, he does that thing where the blade will whip around the pillar when he hits it and strike another target. And it's just this absolute flowing set of maneuvers. And then he, puts his blade away, and he will turn and see you, and he will. Zheng, you've returned.
As has Nine Blossoms, though I do not believe she is out of danger.
She was not to leave the household. She is in no fit condition to be out on the road, and not to take students with her. That was foolish of her. I will speak with her later.
She's far more capable than you give her credit, I believe.
Does that come from experience or from somewhere else?
Why would it come from anywhere but experience?
You must dedicate yourself to the sword and to this household and not to other matters.
I have.
Truly?
Without a doubt, I am loyal.
I have no question of your loyalty. I have a question of your attention.
I'm sorry that I have given you any reason to feel that way.
Tell me, where did you find Nine Blossoms? What was she doing?
She traveled out to a temple and was protected there. But
And
I have
why?
retrieved her.
What was the reason for her travels?
She was under threat. Have you not heard of the sisters who pursued her. I thought that the word would have traveled back here. But,
I'd heard, but I had understood that she had traveled before these assassins had been stalking.
she had, but they attempted to find her. We stopped them.
Ah, so she was aware of the assassins, and that is why she went there.
So is Rich right here? Like, I just want to make sure I have the events.
So she went to go and speak with the Frost Queen to try and find out secrets to fight Coral Lantern.
Yep, I'm not going to tell him that.
Okay. But the assassins were sent essentially after that. So your story makes sense.
Story makes sense, and it's a lie. I will stick with it because I'm loyal. Wait, no, I am. I'm sticking with it.
Sticking with it. Wow, that is a hard thing for you. But I think that's fair. Though when someone lies to you, you don't like it.
No, I don't like it. This makes me sick to my stomach.
Let's have you roll inner conflict to lie to your superior Bronze Viper.
Covering for her. I think I'm rolling with Earth. Caution.
Sure.
That is a fail.
You see him look, and you can see that look in his eyes that says, I know you're lying. I want you to mark that stat, that chi. And there is that cloud that comes over his face. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't draw attention to it, but you know that he knows you're lying.
He knows.
Well, we will speak again when.
Very well.
You're dismissed. We'll come back to you. Let's cut to Night Sky Ming. Night Sky, you did a scene to heal yourself, and that is the way the other way to clear things is to take a scene to recover, so you may clear your wounded.
I am grateful. All right.
So what is it that you wish to do?
I think that what I will do is I have, oddly enough, purchased the imposter. So that means that I can disguise myself. And what I would like to do is actually step in as one of Nine Blossom's students.
Oh, okay.
So that I have an excuse for always being in her company. So that is my intent. I don't think that that's a particularly difficult use of that skill, but I can make a roll if you require it.
No, it is. You can impersonate them. That is the thing. Disguises work, but yours is even better. I mean, you can disguise yourself as specific people should you need to. And of course, we see there's a different actress portraying you when this happens. Until Mission Impossible style, we see you take the mask off.
Exactly.
If you've ever seen any of the Shaw Brothers films where they have disguises, we see a different actor, but then it cuts and we see this like very bad plastic thing on their face that they pull off. It is wonderful. So what is it that you want to do?
There was that rumor that she was going to be attacked. And so essentially I want to make sure that if there's any assassination attempt that occurs, that I can follow up on it. But it also allows me to move around the city without being Night Sky Ming, which means that I can go and check on any number of things.
So maybe we want to do kind of a streetwise study roll?
Exactly. That sounds lovely.
Let's have you roll. And because you're using your network, you can get that extra hold.
Okay. Let's see here. And I will be using water. I know. She's just got to be in the middle of it. So with water, that gives me a 10.
So you get like 3 things here.
Okay. So let's see here. So can I determine whether the threat to Nine Blossoms is ongoing? Like, essentially, did they intend to actually attack her, or was that just something to draw us away?
They did. You have the sense that I mean, these are clearly part of this whole order that of underground, assassins, people who broke away from the Frost Queen that are in Coral Lantern's control, and she must have gotten wind that Nine Blossoms was, taking these steps, which does make you suspect that maybe there is some sort of traitor in the house of the liquid metal delegates.
I wonder who it is. All right. The other thing that I would like to do is, and this is, more. Yes, I would actually like to declare a thing.
Let's hear the declaration.
Okay. I have seen how these assassins attack, and so I will create for Nine Blossoms one of those broad-brimmed hats with a net on it, but it's a net that will come down like very quickly to protect her from any of these flying snakes or spiders or whatever.
Okay.
So I created this protective measure for her, essentially that it has a long ribbon and she only has to tug the ribbon and the net comes down, like unfurls from it and immediately swathes her in a protective
like a beekeeper's thing. That seems perfect.
So, because you have to be able to do these things.
I like it.
And I think that, let's see here. I want to know the nature of, like, I know that Jade Lantern and these others are all involved up with the marriage preparations for Sedate Rao and Whip Hand Shang. So I wish to get the lay of the land there, their involvement and how closely they're watching and what they're protecting against. That sort of thing.
So what's your question?
Okay, so I'm essentially, the scene is I'm poking around on the wedding preparations because I know that these assassins are involved in all of this.
So you are getting the full rundown on what the wedding preparations are like. There's a certain amount of echo to the wedding preparations we saw in the first book before Daughter Bird took off and all of that. But yeah, there's definitely, you can get a sense of who they have on staff, how they're arranging things, all of that.
All right.
Does that seem fair?
Yes.
Okay.
I have any number of people I can disguise myself as. Should be. And how's Sedate Rao doing?
Well, that's a whole nother question.
Oh,
you had your 3. So let's come to Shard Saber.
Well, Shard Saber Lan is dealing with some new questions and mysteries in his life, and sometimes you meet a resource for information that's too good to ever pass up, and sometimes when you're making a movie, you run across a character and an actor that you just definitely have to have back in every movie. So I think this shot opens at the Devil Crone's little hovel in the middle of the city with Shard Saber Lan going inside.
Shard Saber Lan. Oh, it has been a while since you came to see the crone.
The Jade Saber, Yes, it is no more. I go by Shard Saber now.
Oh, Shard Saber. Do you get to rename yourself? Is that a thing?
I fought and struggled to reforge this sword and myself.
Well, I see you must have reforged yourself if you come to the 100 Ghosts for help.
I come
Tea?
Yes, what? Yes.
Drink with me.
Okay. I come not seeking the 100 Ghosts. I come to someone that Tian always trusted.
So let us say that I have no knowledge of the 100 Ghosts, that I am a simple old crone that you have come to.
I'm not asking you to. I'm just saying where my intentions are coming from, not your knowledge or base of his. I am not getting involved with the 100 Ghosts, right? That's clear.
Whatever helps you sleep.
It wasn't that. That wasn't it. No, this is unimportant. I come seeking your advice, your knowledge.
Then come, ask the Devil Crone.
It's all right.
So is this
Mrs.
a study
Crone.
move? Miss Crone. Is there a Mr. Crone?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's have your roll study.
This is definitely caution. I don't think lands quite to the point of fully embracing the Devil Crone without a reservation. So let's see. Jeez, that's a 12.
Then you get 2 questions. The Devil Crone will give you the answers you seek.
I said a lot of really reassuring things to Passing Cloud, and I'm wondering how true they are. So my first question would be, is it possible to turn this Dustcloak spider back from his path? Or is he too far gone like the Stormcloud assassin was?
How far down your path are you? Could you be turned?
Surely that's looking for answers, not more questions.
That is the answer. That is the answer. You killed his master, the one who raised him.
Surely it's not too late. At least can you tell me he hasn't found the other Jade Saber yet? Otherhold he definitely has.
Oh, yeah. You have not heard. They speak of the jade-bladed bandit in the hinterlands. If it is not him, then who holds the jade blade? I'd assumed it was your blade, but you're here and still alive.
That's why Tian sent me those warnings about Magistrate Bao. I fear what it has done to him if he's already found the saber. Thank you. Thank you, Devil Crone. You bring knowledge, you rarely bring comfort, but I suppose that's not what you're here for, is it?
No, I am not. I am here to answer questions and serve as a gateway for the 100 Ghosts.
But no, I explained. This is purely on a friend's recommendation basis. Nothing to do with clans.
Jane Saber, the 100 ghosts have been nothing but helpful to you. Iron Face Lou looked out for you when no one else would. Your friend Tian came to us and we helped him.
But-
Think on that when you think who is truly your friend.
But the 100 ghosts are... Well, they're... I think he just doesn't know how to finish that.
And he goes, yes, and appearances always tell the truth. And we're going to cut that scene there.
Beautiful.
Passing Cloud. When you return, do you go back to Auntie Silver or are you going to town? What do you think?
Yeah, I think Passing Cloud is going to take the opportunity to head into town and maybe spend a little time there before heading back to Auntie Silver's. I think he's actually going to, after they've split up, he's going to look to catch up with Cheng Wen.
Okay.
He'll probably go to the liquid metal delegates to find him.
I assume you'll find him after he's had that somewhat disturbing conversation with Bronze Viper.
This is not good.
And he looks a little off. Like usually he's pretty stoic, but he actually looks a little more disturbed. And Zhang, you will see Passing Cloud approaching.
Passing Cloud, what has brought you to the night sky, to the delegates, the metal delegates?
You, Zheng Wen. Sorry, that is to say, I had a question for you, but or a request, I suppose. But are you well? You seem out of sorts.
I had a disturbing conversation. It is a private matter, but thank you.
Of course. Auntie Silver has taught me well, and I hope I have learnt well from her, but I feel my skills are still not what they could be. And I wondered if you would do me the honor of perhaps training with me a little.
Of course. I would be happy to. Traveled all this way to train with me.
Your prowess is impressive. And I should like to learn more of those styles outside of our traditions.
You pointed yourself well against the sister. There is no reason to feel embarrassed of your own skills. I'll be happy to train with you. But I think that you are formidable in your own way.
Thank you. That is yes, that's I do not doubt myself. I just wish to push myself further.
Good then.
Do we maybe think that that's a comfort and support with an attempt to kind of maybe make a bond with Zheng? Does that seem like a good way to handle that?
Yeah, that works. I think.
Let's have you roll that. What are you going to roll with?
I think I'm going to go with fire for this.
Okay.
I think this is mostly sort of being kind of quite open, and that's a 9 in total.
Okay. So you can gain a bond with them on your side, or if you want to clear a chi from them, you can do that. Probably better to gain the bond.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Could I have been trying to comfort back?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Good, because I'm totally going to be selfish if I roll well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Fuck. It doesn't matter what I roll with. I realized I clicked the dice before I said anything, and it doesn't matter. It's all fails. All fails all the time. I rolled a 3. So I have no stat that makes that not a fail. Let's say, though, that I would have been going with wisdom, so water.
What would that take you to? That would only take you to a 4, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, let me think. What is the right way to do this?
What's the stinger? Come on.
I think the stinger is that we cut the camera away from passing cloud, and the camera goes to another shot, and we see passing cloud going to see his aunt and telling her about his travels, and we realize that you have not been speaking with passing cloud, but you have in fact been speaking with the dust-cloaked spider, his twin. And I think that's where we're ending that session there, is on that note.
So
Nice.
Zengwen realizes this?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, you don't realize.
That's great.
The audience knows, but you have no clue.
Nice.
That's amazing.
So let's stop off and check in with people on XP. Passing cloud. I think we hit both of those entanglements for you.
Yeah, I think so.
So that is 4.
Cool.
Sherry, I think we hit the sedate row one. Do you think we hit the? I don't think we hit the other one though, unfortunately.
No, I didn't get a chance to find Iron Face Lau yet, so that's cool.
I'm sorry. Well, we'll definitely lean into that next time.
Yep, sounds good. Because he's my favorite 100 Ghosts fella.
Yeah. In fact, let's make sure we start the session with that. So we'll kind of come on that point. Shard Saber Lon.
Yeah. Definitely got the passing cloud and dust cloaked spider in there. Night Sky Ming and Coral Lantern was sort of tangential and wasn't exactly from my pushing.
Yeah, I'll give you the 3 for the one you
sense.
highlighted. And then Zhang, I think we hit both of yours.
Yeah, I do too.
So that's 4 points.
Yay, 4 points. That gets me to an advance.
So I do want to stop and maybe take just a couple of minutes, and since we've had 2 sessions, and I want to stop and do the once around and ask about things you're digging, like things you're liking, and then things you'd like to see more of, like things that you haven't seen yet that you want to see, or things that you'd like to see more of in play. So Sherry, things that you've been digging in these couple of sessions, what are you really liking? Other people's play, scenes, what?
I've been super pleased with how the other three players have been able to tangle up their romantic stuff so completely and absolutely. It has been beautiful to watch and a little heartbreaking, and my heart trembles for them. It is awesome.
And David, things you've been digging, other people's play, system setting, what?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, pretty much everything so far, which I know isn't a very helpful answer, but no, I think it's been, like I said, I really like the way kind of the same thing, but I like the way all the different entanglements have kind of got people, different relationships between different people and the contrasting relationships and stuff. I think that's really cool. I like that a lot.
I really appreciate everybody using those to shape their scene callings and so on. I thought that was really nice. Patrick, things you've been digging?
I've really been enjoying, we joked at the beginning about the session being the let's trot out all the new NPCs and stuff. But Sherry and I have been in all of this, and Rich has been in and out of the storylines, and of course David's new. So I like how this month has been taking the themes and storylines of the previous months, but bringing them in new ways through new characters, so that we really are in a very fresh feeling mix of the stories that are going on. I think that's super cool.
Awesome.
As far as looking ahead, I'm.
We'll come to that in a second.
Okay.
Gotcha. Rich, things that you're digging.
I really love the imagery. I love how everybody's bought into it. The characters that we introduced, the sisters, the temple, that was really unexpected. And next level, it went from, this is going to be like hanging out with Buddhist monks and we'll probably have to beat them up, to, no, this felt like the Mortal Kombat movie a little bit, like that sequence at the dinner with the big gong and everything. I totally had that imagery in my head, and it was gleeful for me. So the grandiose mixed with some of the low budget feel of the movies we're referencing is really, really fun.
Good. I'm glad you're digging that. Sherry, let me come back to you. Is there anything that you're like, I definitely want to see more of this, or something that we haven't had that you want to see more of?
Let's see here. I've enjoyed the little bit of ramped up Supernatural.
Okay.
And I'm enjoying a little bit of the ramped up spy games in some ways. Sort of that very much more of that sort of struggle underneath appearances. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that's an awesome showcase for people who fight really well, because it's a situation where it's such a relief when they actually do get to throw down and fight. Does that make any sense? So, yeah.
Building up the stakes for the combat. Okay.
Exactly.
David, anything that you want to see definitely more of, or things we haven't necessarily hit that you want to see, even in terms of your own moves, maybe if there's things we haven't been able to touch on yet?
Yeah, no, I think it'll be interesting. Like I said, yeah, specifically both from kind of how we've been building stuff up and from a couple of my moves, I think it'll be interesting once we start engaging more sort of directly with kind of the villains of the piece, as it were. But yeah, I think it's
yeah, because you've got Bladeheart.
I do, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Patrick?
I'm definitely looking forward to the reveal of Dustcloak's fighter and digging into and I suppose the reveal of Passing Cloud. That's super neat. Let's see, just looking at if I have anything particular. Yeah, I've not been using the have sword will travel. And I keep thinking of places, and then it's sorry. I suppose I need to separate myself more. that's sort of my, like, I keep wishing for something and it keeps not coming in.
Okay. Well, that's a good point. Let me keep an eye on that. Especially if people get entangled conflicts, that's a good move to have to bring people back together. Okay, that's a good point. Rich, what about you?
I realized when Frost Queen said, "Yeah, I know a lot of secrets. What secret do you want to know?" I thought, I don't even know what secret to ask about. Like, I don't know. I'm so lost because there's just I wish I had a cheat sheet. That's what I'd like, a cheat sheet of all of the mysteries and who's what. We have pictures, but it seems like there are wheels within wheels, and I'm terrible at that. And I need to do better, but a cheat sheet would help.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is it'd be worth me doing a little flow chart of the relationships and people we have on stage now, just to help with that. I thought your question was good though. I mean, I thought you did a nice job with that, and I knew I was throwing it to you when you didn't have as much of a water to tread in, but I thought you did a good job with it.
Thanks.
All right, so yeah, relationships. Awesome, thank you guys. That helps actually. That gives me some framework for next time. And I'm going to stop the broadcast here.